Scarlett is the runner-up of the Apprentice 2019, the Lord Sugar's Apprentice. She's a successful businesswoman. She's the founder of Harper Fox Partners, and she has just acquired £250,000 investment from the Lord Sugar, like the boss, the ultimate boss, Lord Sugar. Scarlett, how do you feel about it?
I'm feeling really, really positive about it, to be honest with you. Really excited, really positive, and just looking forward to getting stuck in now. But definitely some pressure as well. But pressure's always good though, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Do you find that you work better under pressure, or are you the opposite?
Yeah. No, better under pressure. Yeah. I actually just think I put myself under huge pressure, even if there's no pressure.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm quite pressurised. I'm like, oh my God, this needs to be done now.
Yes.
So yeah, no, I would say better under pressure, definitely.
Yes. Okay. But you know what? If we can just take it to the beginning, because the investment is literally the last part. So we're going to come back to that. But the first part is that you decided to take part in the Apprentice UK last year. Did you have to apply for it 2019, 2018? What's the process like?
It's a pretty lengthy process, to be honest with you. It's probably, I'm trying to think now, about a 6-stage process, I think. So yeah, it's a pretty extensive process, and it's sort of like an initial application, and then you kind of filter through different auditions. But yeah, the main reason that I applied initially, it was kind of on a whim, and I was just sort of last minute. It was about 10 minutes before the applications closed, and I was like, I am going to do it. I'm going to send off for that. And I was working. I think they closed at 11 o'clock, and I was just working really late because I'd not long started my business at that point. So I was working till like 10, half 10, and I'd finished, and I was like, actually, I saw it come up the advert, like it was the last day, and I was like, I'm just going to do it. So I just carried on and quickly did it. That's literally what happened. And it was more just as a like, oh, what a fun, interesting challenge, rather than me sort of seriously thinking that I was going to do it.
Yes. So literally you went into it with the mentality of, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Just trying your luck.
Yeah, I kind of went it like, of course, I would have I wanted the opportunity to be on the show. But I sort of just went in with the thought process, oh my gosh, what an interesting challenge this would be. I'm going to apply for it and just see what happens. So it was very, very much in that kind of vein.
Yes. So, when you actually, so now you're in The Apprentice, you've received the amazing news that you've been chosen. Is it 12 contestants? Is it?
Yeah, 12, yeah.
So there's 12 of you, you're now in it. Is it exactly like you thought it would be from what you used to see on the TV?
No, it's much harder. It's much harder. We're all there as audience members watching it, and you're like, why are they doing that? How stupid are they? If I was on there, I'd do this. But you have no Google, no mobile phone, no time, no sat nav device, no mapping device, no calculator. So all of a sudden, like 49 times 7 isn't as simple as it would ordinarily be. Like you reach for your mobile phone, or you think, what is in the south of England? And you are thinking, is it the north? Is it the south? Because you've not had to think about these things for most of us since we went to school.
Yeah.
So that's why
you use your phone as well.
No. You don't even know the time or the day. Never mind.
You are joking me.
No. So it's completely. It really is. You
Top
are.
secret.
The pressure is on. Yeah, the pressure's on, and you are just put on the spot constantly. Now, I didn't mind that. I quite enjoyed it actually, but that's why sometimes you or other people can look like, what on earth are they talking about? Why have they made that decision? That's why.
Oh, wow. Well, Scarlett, you sound so excited talking about it. For those of you that haven't watched it, you need to watch it. And if you have watched it, you will agree with what I'm about to say. Scarlett came across so well. She stood her ground, always super articulate, and you just always demonstrated clear leadership skills and the importance of teamwork also. You're a team player. Is that something that you developed in there, or is it something that you've slowly developed throughout your career maybe?
I think that I've been in the world of work since I was 16, and I had a part-time job at 14, but in the world of work since I was 16, and I've been leading and managing people for probably since I was 18, so for quite a long time. So yeah, I think probably I'm probably a little bit of a natural leader, actually, which I hadn't always realised. But teamwork's really important. You just want to get the best out of you and the people that you're working with. And actually, in the house, you know, in sort of on the show, that's actually really key. But aside from that, I think that's just key in general, isn't it?
Oh yeah, definitely. Teamwork really does make the dream work. I know it sounds cliche to everyone, but especially when you actually realise that you've got different skills that you can bring to the table with different team players, you can actually utilize their strengths and their weaknesses and really just work together to mold, and you can learn so much from one another. But you touched on that you had a part-time job at 14. I had a job at 14 as well. And whenever I tell people, the first question I get, was that legal? And I was like, yeah, it was legal. I had a pay slip and everything.
What was your job? I mean,
I was waitressing. Waitressing, yeah. You know C&B, you know silver service at a hotel. So it was Christmas time, I remember. And I remember saying to my mom, like, I really want to work now. Like, everyone else keeps talking about, like, earning money. Like, I want to earn money. And my sister was doing, like, the weekend jobs as well. At the time, it was just a weekend thing for her. So my sister is, like, 5 years, my senior. So she was doing it. And she was like, okay, I don't know if that's a good idea. Like, taking my little sister along, no, maybe not. But eventually, I convinced her and my mum to let me. And Scarlett, I never looked back. And the skills, the customer service skills that I gained there have guided me throughout my whole career.
Yeah, it is those early jobs, isn't it? I agree with you.
What were you doing?
Assistant. Yeah, I was the milkman's assistant. So I think yours seemed like it was a more important job than mine.
Yes.
Mine was waking up at like 3 a.m. to help deliver milk. But what I did see though was, you know, you'd work a million hours and earn like £20, which you were so delighted for. But the biggest houses, because it was outside of obviously where I lived, so you kind of travelled a little bit. The biggest house, I didn't even know people lived in houses like that in the UK. So it was really inspirational for me. I was like, oh my gosh, when I'm older, I'm going to have a house like that, you know, that kind of thing. So that was probably the biggest learn that I had was, wow, you can live in a house like this, you know.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what, just mentioning that, so you seeing all of those houses inspiring you, would you say your upbringing has played a part in the woman that you are now today and just being so ambitious and driven?
Yeah, definitely. I come from a really matriarchal family, lots of women, lots of very strong independent women. Nobody was married, or it was just all the mums really together. And I mean, my own mum, she worked really, really hard, lots of hours all the time. So yeah, that was a big inspiration. So I always kind of hard work was I think just in my DNA, because that's all I'd seen. You have to work really hard. And then I always wanted to do really well, because, you know, you watch sort of, you know, family struggle and things like that, and you think, gosh, they work so hard. So that sort of inspired me to want to do really well. And I moved out at 16, so I had to go into the world of work, and I had to earn money, and that's the biggest motivator of all. Because when you're thinking, I might not be able to eat, all of a sudden you are ready to work long days.
You know what? You know the lessons that you've learnt along the way. You've got two beautiful little girls. Do you think you're passing down some of those lessons, and do you think you want them to follow in your footsteps, especially career-wise?
I think I want them to do what they want to do. I think that's important. Do I have I passed down some of the lessons? Yes, definitely. So I often find, especially my eldest daughter, like she wants something, she tries to pitch to me. Sometimes they put a presentation together, they think of like their USPs, and I'm like, yes, you are my daughter.
Yes.
They've definitely picked that up. But I think the biggest thing that I really try to install within them, and that wasn't that perhaps I didn't always feel when I was younger, is that you really can be anything that you want to be. There is no limitations, no matter what gender you are, no matter what ethnicity you are, no matter what anyone says to you. That's probably the biggest thing that I've actually I've really observed myself and just noticed, and this is just myself, but just felt maybe that there can be some suppression, especially sometimes amongst senior females, and I'm just so keen that that not be the case. Let's be the change, and part of that change is really empowering my daughters as the next generation to really see and feel that, and that you can earn that money, you know, you can earn those higher salaries. We don't need to sit here, which I think that the generation above me is, you know, within my family, they've done well, very, very intelligent women. But actually, I sometimes felt that they limited themselves, and actually, in hindsight, they're incredible, you know. So it's interesting. So yeah, that's probably the biggest thing for me.
It is, and it is interesting what you're saying, because it's something that I always say, just even about my own mum. I look at her generation, I really admire them, that with the amount of limited resources that they had, how in the heck they were able to raise the children that they were able to raise, and raise us so right. And as you know, being a parent, there's no manual to being a parent. So I often look at her and I just think, how in the world did you do it? And also, if things have yet to change so much now in 2020 for us as women, I think of them back then, you know, and then I think of the things that they were unable to pass down to us, because often they didn't realize their worth, because they weren't taught to have self-worth. They weren't taught that they had power within them as women, or just even as humans.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I think a big element of that is, and this is just my own upbringing and what I saw around me, it was just a lot of single mothers raising children, and it's just really hard to, you know, climb a career ladder, look after children, juggle work, juggle money. It was just a lot of that, and a lot of hard work, a lot of hard work,
and it is a cycle. Yeah, and they did it, even with all of that, and that's why I feel like they are so brave and inspiring, because they absolutely did it. Even through all the bumps and bruises, they did it, and they're here and they're smiling. And look at us, we turned out all right.
Yeah, absolutely.
We turned out absolutely fine. But Scarlett, tell us more about Harper's Fox Partners. How did that idea come about? Why recruitment?
Yeah, so I've been in recruitment now for probably the last 7 or 8 years. And then ultimately always knew that I wanted my own business, but I wasn't sure what that business was going to be in. And then you have the struggles of life, don't you? Like I said, I moved out younger. I had my daughters young as well. So there's all those financial pressures as well. But ultimately made the decision to start Harper Fox Partners just shy of 2 years ago. And we specialise in placing senior leadership across the engineering and energy markets globally, with a passion for placing senior female and diverse talent.
Okay, great. And why did you get into that, especially with it's STEM, isn't it? STEM, and also just, you mentioned diversity and females.
Yeah.
Why that specifically?
Yeah, so I went into STEM just because I work for a big, large recruitment company. That's where I kind of learnt the skill set. And it just so happened that I joined the engineering team. It was as simple as that. But actually, I felt really passionate about it very quickly.
Yes.
You know, I had this love of engineering in a world I just didn't even really understand, you know, at all, which was very, very appealing to me. So that was kind of the core engineering side of things. And then I suppose the diversity element was just because I noticed in the industry I was in, both recruitment and engineering, that it was just really white male dominated. And I felt that myself. I noticed very quickly there weren't many females at the top, especially females of any kind of ethnicity. And I wanted to break that mold, I suppose, or certainly be part of that change. And actually, you know, in fairness to the industry, it was something that the industry recognised, and we're trying to work out how do we attract more of this type of talent into our businesses. We know it's more engaging, we know it's more profitable, we know it's a more successful working environment to have a more diverse working environment. So I suppose we just sort of tied together the two passions, and Harper Fox Partners was born.
That is beautiful. Just to touch briefly on the STEM, from my own little experience of STEM, Scarlett, I've noticed that, you know, even at university, the courses, engineering, for example, I feel like it starts with our education, because I've noticed that with the courses, it's a lot of males in the classroom. So I didn't study engineering, but whenever I've looked at the engineering classrooms or just saw them in the groups, it seems like it's targeted more towards males. So I feel like there's almost, maybe there was a stigma to it before, that it's more of a male thing to do and females should go in other fields.
Yeah,
Is that kind of the case?
Yeah, so and I think that's changing. There's some fantastic kind of, you know, innovative projects, and STEMx is a fantastic one to touch upon, that are really trying to encourage different talent pools into engineering and manufacturing. But ultimately, you can't be what you don't see. And actually, if the lecturers and the teachers are all male, then it's most likely, like a football team, it's most likely that you kind of tend to boys gravitate, because that's all we've ever seen. And women might go to ballet. I know I'm being really stereotypical. Because
but no, these things happen.
Yeah, so it's, you know, so it's almost sort of female socialization, really, isn't it? So it's kind of, well, actually, let's change some of these people at the top. Let's bring in more diverse talent in terms of teaching. And all of a sudden, you know, if you and I sort of saw this incredible female tutor, actually, might we have rethought our interest in engineering when we were in year 8 or 9? Yeah, potentially we might have. So all of a sudden the appeals have changed, and that's why it's at every single level so important. And I don't think it's not necessarily anyone's fault. I think it's just a case of making, you know, everybody aware that actually these are really interesting places to sit and be, and we can sit within these industries if we want to and do incredibly well.
Yes, representation definitely matters, and we are slowly but surely moving towards that. And I mean, Harper's Fox Partners is here for that. And with Harper's Fox Partners, how are you attracting this diverse talent and ultimately helping move this innovative area that is STEM, because it's so innovative? So how are you using your platform and your business to ultimately move that forward and just also just get the new talent?
A number of different things. I mean, we work with quite a few charities, so we're starting at kind of that ground and that education level, which you touched upon earlier. But for us, it's a lot about talent attraction. It's about mapping. It's about finding people. It's about trying to encourage them in a different way. So, for example, the language that we might use with our male candidates and our female candidates might be slightly different, because it just, we're different genders and different things appeal. It's about looking at businesses and working with the businesses and looking at succession plans and development plans and flexible working. All sorts of different elements really contribute, and just having more of an awareness as well. You know, we do some really positive work with Birmingham Chamber of Commerce around that. So there's a number of different elements, but it all brings in the results, which is most important, and brings in change.
Yes, no, that's amazing. Just briefly about the investment that you have received. So with COVID, the last time we spoke, I think you mentioned briefly that the apprentice, will we be getting an apprentice this year? It doesn't seem like we are going to be getting an apprentice.
No, so I don't think so.
Can we say that you've won the apprentice? I feel like you've done even better, Scarlett. You know, so many people have gone in and out of that boardroom, and they've been runner-ups. Maybe they weren't the runner-up, but they haven't come out gaining any investment outside of that boardroom with Lord Sugar. Are you the fourth recruitment company under his portfolio at the moment?
Yeah, that's right. So we're the fourth recruitment company, but we specialise in executive search. So we specialise in all senior recruitment. So that's different, I suppose, to the other companies that we have, which works really nicely. But no, I'm really kind of delighted with how things have panned out in terms of the investment and so forth. But in answer to your question, no, I don't think they are doing an apprentice this year. So I keep having people say congratulations, but they keep thinking I'm the 2020 winner. No.
You have nothing against the winners, but you've done even better. Scarlett, you need to write a book for the rest of us, literally outlining what it was, the steps that we need to take as ladies to do what you've done, because you've done even more. Literally.
Oh no, I'm trying. We're all trying together, aren't
Yes,
we? So,
we are.
thank you.
But with the 250,000, so what's the future going to look like for Harper Fox Partners now moving forward?
Yeah, so we're going to expand the office. So we've opened a new office and we're going to expand that, and that's in Birmingham. And we've got a small office in London. So it will be that we'll have another site as well on top of that, and we're just bringing more people, so more employment really for the area. That's really kind of the key elements.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, we're literally, it seems like we are entering a recession. So more than ever, recruitment is going to be something that's so essential for so many people. So
yeah,
more than ever, it's a great field for you to be in.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think there's no doubt about it. The industry has definitely been hit during COVID. But actually, we know that critical roles will be important, and then it will be trying to gain the right skill set. So, no, we're looking forward to what the rest of the year brings.
No, that's amazing. Scarlett, before I let you go, you're on the Courage and Purpose podcast. So I need to ask you about courage and purpose. What would you say purpose looks like for you? Do you feel like you're living in your purpose right now? And if you are, what does it look like?
Yeah, so I think about this all the time because I'm obviously a sad person. So I think about purpose a lot. And actually I'm still working through that. So I know that actually the things, okay, just in summary, it took me a while to understand, because everyone's always searching for their purpose, aren't they? I assume, yeah.
I know I am. I feel like I found it, but it's a process.
It's a process, and I think it's a changing one because we evolve, and that's okay. We want to do that. But I've started to realise that purpose lies in the gifts that you've been given, and actually the things that you're naturally good at are probably the things you should be doing. Now, I've been fighting those things. I'm like, I will be this, I will do that. I am going to break my back and do this that doesn't come naturally. And then I've realised more recently that actually perhaps I should really tune into some of the things that I'm actually just naturally quite good at, and it's okay to say that and feel that. So for me, I'm very passionate, and purpose is about, obviously it is about equal for equal. It's about kind of empowering women, no doubt about it. I'm very passionate about empowering women, I think professionally, but also personally. So I am ambassador for a charity that specialises in domestic abuse recovery programs. So it's certainly all around that piece that's really kind of interest to me. And then the rest of it, I'm just still trying to unveil, in all honesty, Laurinda.
Because you're only human. You are only human, and life is about evolving. The woman you are today, you're going to evolve within the next year, within the next 5-10 years, and that is what part of life is. So that makes sense. It does. What about courage? I feel like you're courageous. I don't even feel like I need to ask you this, but your courage shows just by you going on The Apprentice. That is huge courage, and dealing with Lord Sugar is very courageous. So would you advise other people to be courageous?
Yes. Great. I would definitely advise people to be courageous. I think you have to step out, you have to be bold, you have to follow your gut instinct and do the things that you want to do, and it does take courage to do that. But funnily enough, for all the professional things that people probably deem and think, gosh, that was a courageous thing to do, even starting my business, going on The Apprentice, all of that stuff. It was courageous, but actually I think it's some of the more personal things that I have found to feel like, whoa, those are courageous steps, and it's made some of the business things feel like it's okay to kind of take so it's funny, the things that do impact you differently, I suppose. But yes, be courageous. Yes,
be very courageous, people. Listen to her. Be very courageous.
Step out, be bold.
Thank you so much, guys. We had a little technical difficulty, and Scarlett is not only courageous, and when she actually discusses about empowering women, and some people talk the talk but they don't actually walk the walk, I can tell you that Scarlett does walk the walk. She's very kind, because she was very kind with me with a little technical issue that we had, and she could have given up, but she said no. And she made sure she stuck to her word and she walked the walk in empowering women. So from woman to woman, I thank you, Scarlett. Thank you for
Thank
being on the
you.
podcast. It's been amazing speaking to you.
Oh, you too. No, thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for inviting me on.